So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how you should hold the sticks and a little warm-up exercise that you can do before you start actually practicing. So let's start with the left hand. So you take your left hand and you put it up like this, and then you put the stick about maybe a quarter of the way down the stick, and then you take the stick and put it between these two fingers. This is your middle finger and then your next finger, your ring finger. So your hand is like this, and the idea is you then just turn it over. The control is all done with the thumb, and as you can see, I'm actually balancing the stick between this finger and my thumb at this point, and that's all that needs to be done, because that's the two control points for the stick. Obviously back here we have the fulcrum where the stick actually sits, is in here. The thumb controls the stick, and the control is between this finger and the thumb. So I have it this way. Take the stick, put it in there about a quarter of the way down the stick, put it between those two fingers. The thumb comes down the stick, and we just turn it so that the thumb is up now. It's in the up direction. And the reason for that is that it allows me to control, the thumb allows me to control the stick. So I can control it by just letting it bounce and then stopping it bouncing between the two fingers, the thumb and the ring finger. That's the left hand. That's how you would hold the left hand. The right hand, you start again with the hand up, but this time you're going to take the stick maybe a bit further down the shaft of the stick, maybe a third of the way down, but you're going to pinch it between this knuckle on this finger right here and your thumb. So, and the back of the stick is going to come in the back, in the trough of your hand there. You can see on these sticks that the actual stick actually sticks past my hand. But what happens is once I turn it over, it won't be there. Now these three fingers come down the stick like this, and they're used to control the bounce. So these fingers are the ones that control the bounce, and this becomes the fulcrum point. Be careful that these two fingers are straight across here, perpendicular to the stick. You don't want to have one up or the thumb up, because then you lose your fulcrum point. You're no longer acting as a fulcrum here. The fulcrum would then be across the stick, I mean on an diagonal across the stick and not perpendicular to it. So this is your hand, and you then just turn it over like this with this gap facing up, and that allows you to use, that's basically the fulcrum. As you can see, that bounces without the sticks on the bottom. I bring the fingers on the bottom, I bring the fingers in, I now have control. The same thing, the control is with controlling the bounce with these three fingers on the bottom. So that's basically how we hold the stick. Another important factor, and I'm just going to put the practice pad on here now, is that you make sure your sticks are always in the center of the pad, and they're fairly close together within say a 2-inch area if you, at the best. The reason for that is that when you're actually playing on the drum, the snare runs across here, across that section of the drum. If you've got one stick over here and one here, you're not going to get the proper sound. You want to have both sticks at the exact point in the middle of the drum so that they're both hitting it on the snare underneath the drum skin. So to start off, we start off with fairly slow. I always use the metronome to warm up with. The idea here is to be able to play something exactly in time. The more you can play in time, the better you'll make the whole band sound. So what I do is I'll start off, this is at 60 and it's on quarter notes, but I'm going to play eighth notes, so you'll hear me hit in between each one of these beats. So you start off with single strokes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you can go to double strokes. 1 and 2 and 3 and and then you can go to paradiddles. Paradiddle, paradiddle. Now the whole idea here is you want to play different phrases in time. So that's just some basic phrases. And I know this seems like a fairly boring exercise, but the idea here is you will increase the speed in doing this exercise so that you'll become more accurate in what you're playing. So so this is at 120 beats per minute. So I'm already thinking about what I'm going to sound like before I start playing. I make sure my sticks are in the middle of the pad, and I'm going to make sure that they stay there. Singles, doubles, paradiddle. Trying to make each beat sound the same. So the idea here is to increase your speed, make sure you're constantly being accurate on playing exactly with the metronome, and that'll improve your timing. Other exercises, I can demonstrate some other exercises later. We'll talk about rolls and similar things that will help you play the drum scores and you'll understand them much more easily.